Welcome to Tech Talks, Evolving Distribution. I'm Corey Hayes, and with me is Bill Rosado. Today, we're exploring how digital transformation is reshaping the distribution industry.
That's right. From e-commerce platforms to CRM tools, we talk with industry experts about how distribution can embrace these changes and thrive in the ever-changing space.
Whether you're just getting started or looking for new insights, we've got you covered. Today's episode is packed with information to help you navigate the digital shift.
So let the tech talk begin.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming into another episode of Tech Talks Evolving Distribution. As always, Corey Hayes, your host, alongside Bill Rosado. Bill, how are you doing today?
Doing wonderful. Unfortunately, there's like storms coming in. I don't know how things are where everyone is out there, but we see storms getting ready to come back through the Midwest.
Seems like it's always like this that time of year. You turn around and it's raining, storming, and I'm over it. But
to the Midwest.
Yeah, I'm ready for sunshine. We're also super happy to have Dave Gulas on the pod today. Dave, how are you doing today?
Hey, fantastic, Corey. I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, super excited that you're here. Really, we were just talking a little bit about before we got on, just about your experiences and things that you've learned in the distribution industry. And yeah, just excited for the conversation today to get into it and pick your brain a little bit. So before we get started, before we hit the gas pedal and start going, Dave, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us about your company that you've co-founded, EZDC. That just kind of rolls off the tongue, 3PL. Tell us a little bit about that and tell us a bit about you.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm president and co-founder of EZDC 3PL. We provide warehousing, fulfillment, and transportation services for manufacturers and e-commerce brands. So we're about 3.5 years old as a company. Prior to that, I had 20 years experience in medical and pharmaceutical distribution industry. And I've been lifelong sales professional, all the way up to the executive level, and of course now co-founding this company. But at heart, I'm a sales guy for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
Hey, and Dave, also, I know you have a podcast. Go ahead and tell everybody where they can catch your podcast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, appreciate you reminding me. Yeah, so I host the Beyond Fulfillment podcast, which is all about the entrepreneurial journey and what it's really like, not just the Instagram highlight reel. And that can be found on YouTube and then everywhere else podcasts are heard.
Awesome. Okay. Well, great. Well, excited to get into the conversation today. If you're a returning listener, we've changed up the questions a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and get rolling into that. Make sure that we have time to get through every single one of them. Excited about the conversation today. So Dave, let's start off. What is one thing that distributors believe about technology that is just frankly completely wrong? They couldn't get it more wrong.
That it's a one-time purchase. So often when you're, and obviously the tech is going to vary from company to company or industry to industry, but so often, right, when you're evaluating a new tech, I've seen this numerous times where people think the price tag it's just going to be a one-time thing, but it's going to be an ongoing investment, continually. So it's so important to, make sure you get it right on the front end and vet it properly and do all your due diligence and make sure you're with the right partner and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's definitely not a one-time purchase at all.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting because I think sometimes people get it in their head that it's a one-time purchase, so they think that it's a one-time effort. They think that they can just set it and forget it and then just never touch it again and it'll do what it needs to do. And the truth of the matter is, like, in our world, we have what we call a PIM, a product information management system. So that's where all their products and all their SKUs come in. That's a living, breathing thing. That's something that somebody needs to be in and updating. And I think that that's an interesting point because so many people just set it, forget it. They just purchase it and they think that they're done. So,
yeah.
right. Yeah. Okay, we're going to go to the second one here. So what separates distributors that succeed from technology to those that struggle?
Well, a lot of things, but I would say the single biggest thing is the people behind the technology. Just like, in our industry too. I mean, it's, as an example, 3PL, right? There's about 10,000 or so in the US alone. And very often for customers, e-commerce brands that are shopping them, it's very easy to confuse them and maybe think that they're all alike. But it's so critical to the people behind the company are really what what matter the most. And I would say it's the same for technology too, in terms of, you can have the best technology, but if you don't have the right people operating it correctly and understanding how to interact with it and understanding how to continually evolve with it and update it and use it and execute with it and so on and so forth. I mean that's the biggest determining factor in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's so often, Dave, what we see too, it's on both sides, right? It's the people on the side of the technology, but the people using the technology also. You have to have the adopters on the one side, but then you also have to have the support and the knowledge on the other side.
Yeah, yeah, and we've been through, even with the 3PL, we've been through several. We made some mistakes early on, and we've been through several technology vendors before we really found the right fit. And one of them in particular, right? Demo looked great. My people were excited. Everything was wow. This is really attractive as an option. It was as very attractively priced, and we implemented it, and things started to go wrong. And then the people behind that technology weren't delivering on their promises and weren't doing what they said they were going to do, and it wasn't functioning perfectly as it did in the demo. And we kind of learned the hard way that not, you have to do a lot more due diligence before signing on with providers, because people will say whatever to make a sale, but then when it comes time to deliver on the support, it's not always there like it needs to be.
Yeah. I think that's something that brings up just
So
an
you kind of
interesting.
bring up. I was
Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
think that's
Go
an
ahead.
interesting situation. Can you tell us? Can you tell us kind of, Dave, what was that defining moment that you said, "Hey, this sunk cost, this investment in time and people and money, right? We need to pivot, right, and go another way." Kind of, what was that kind of? Explain how that kind of looked, and then how you move forward with that.
Yeah, it just, the tech wasn't working, and we were kind of at a standstill with what we could do. And they were like, the guy was on, like he was on vacation or something and just not responding. And it was very, very apparent that this is not going to work long term. So, and again, right, it's not, when you have, so we knew we needed to switch, and then we began the process of making that, but that's never an overnight thing either. So it's, again, right, you live and you learn, and those are things you go through as a young company. But I mean, we knew kind of right there when everything came to a standstill and they weren't responding like they said they would, that we needed to go with someone else.
Yeah. So just pivoting a little bit from this failed implementation, something that I think would be good to ask you. So much on this podcast, both from distributors and from vendors, we have heard about the struggles that come with change management and getting people to buy in to technological advancements and rolling out, digital transformation. As somebody who is president and co-founder and is leading the culture, you're setting the culture for the company. How do you, as that leader, how do you create a culture that promotes buy-in to technology? And especially when you have failed implementations and there are struggles, and there will continue to be struggles. How do you continue to promote within your employees and your company uh, embracing that technological shift?
Well, I mean, I think it starts with just the overall company culture, in terms of, right, like we just started 3 years ago. So we've got a small, tight knit team. We huddle every morning and we talk about the business of the day. And I try to be as transparent as possible with everybody about what we're going through, the good, the bad, the ugly. And just having all the key people being involved, and just being, and again, right, none of us are immune to mistakes, and we go through things and we make mistakes, but yeah, we're all aligned on the mission and the long-term goals of the company. So um even if there is, right, like you said, change management, there's going to be changes, there's going to be as the company grows and as you reach next levels, there's going to be new things that are required. So it's just, I think having everyone on board and align with the mission, and even as new softwares come out or new things that are required that we need, and it requires change, and maybe it's uncomfortable for certain people, but at the same time, I think if they're bought into the vision of where we're going, and they know that, like you're there with, like, it's not to make anything difficult for people, or it's not to, whatever. It's just like, this is what's required at this level of the business. So this is what we're going to do. And and again, right. I try to be as involved as possible and there along the way with people to let them know that, even though we're maybe making this change, or it is, whatever, uncomfortable, like that this is what's required. So that's, that's what we need to do.
Yeah. Preaching that vision. That's super important.
Yeah.
So, you've been in distribution and you run your own company. What's one popular trend in technology that you think is way overhyped, and why?
Oh, popular trend in tech. Well, I mean, so AI is everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And it can do a lot of things, but I guess the caveat is to try to outsource to too much AI too quickly, I think would be the biggest thing. I mean, it needs to be implemented responsibly, intelligently. And so, I know there's so many companies out there, and it's everywhere, and it's evolving, and it's changing so quick, but at the same time, I've seen it go horribly wrong. I did a post on this not long ago too, where this is a major company that I dealt with, and I had an issue, and I had to call in, and they had, it was all I could do is talk to an AI bot. They were pronouncing my name wrong. They couldn't understand the issue I had. They would not transfer me to a human. And it was just such a mess that in frustration, I just bought a new membership and paid full price, even though I shouldn't have had to, just to be done. And that's a situation too, where like the company, I'm sure, said, oh, this is great. We can slash X amount of workers and just move it all to AI. And this will be great. We save X amount on the bottom line. But I mean, what you do to your customer relationships when they clearly didn't do it correctly is it's hard to quantify the harm that does at scale. So I would just say to the AI trend is there, and of course it's going to continue to evolve, but to make sure that you do it responsibly and intelligently would be the most important thing.
Yeah, I think that's something that has been obviously a hot button topic. It seems like every conference we go to, AI is the center of the conversation. And yeah, I don't know. I think that there's still a lot left to be discovered, because I think we're really just scratching the surface on what it's going to actually be capable of, and what it's going to exactly do to distributors and to technological partners, and how your partners are going to utilize AI and build their own platforms and build their own services that they do. So I think I would go back to kind of what you were saying at the beginning about finding the right partner, and finding the right people to scale with you. This is also something that you want to slow down, and you want to see how your partners are managing AI, how they're utilizing AI within their own products and their own services that they provide to you. Because I think you're exactly right. Like, it's something that we need to be responsible. And if we're partnered with people that aren't taking it responsibly, and that aren't carefully and cautiously implementing it into their own platforms, then it's something that could we could lose control of, and hurt along the way. So I think that that's super important. Bill, anything that you want to add on that?
Well, not really to add, but just a comment, right?
Yeah.
I saw an ad the other day. It was a video ad, and here's a salesperson in a meeting, and everything was AI, AI, AI. That's what everybody said. He just sitting back, and then he goes back into the office, right? And it's AI, AI, AI. And he's just sitting back thinking, what is going on? And then he just picks up the phone and schedules a meeting and says, hey, we'll meet. So no AI required, right? You still got to do the manual things. It's not just AI isn't going to do everything that you need, especially in the sales side, right? In distribution.
Yeah.
100%. I just got back I've been on the road for about a week or so in multiple trade shows, and it's all meeting people face to face and talking. And, of course, you want AI to help with wherever it can in terms of making yourself more efficient. But the human connection, I think, is more important than ever
Yes.
in
Yeah.
sales. Yeah.
Yeah, I go back to our episode with David Key, Bill, where he made the statement, AI won't replace your job, but somebody that knows how to utilize AI will. And, I think that that's just yeah, really interesting take. So, Dave, what does the average distributor underestimate when they begin implementing new technology?
How easy it's going to be. Like that it's just gonna plug and play, it's gonna work as intended with minimal effort, and that nothing is gonna go wrong. So I mean, I've seen that multiple times. And even with I mean, we have a great technology partner now, but it just, stuff doesn't work at times, and stuff goes wrong, and bugs come up, and things need to be fixed. And so that's where it's so important to have the right people on both sides of the equation that can work together to resolve the issues, because there's always going to be issues, it seems. So, just like in logistics, same thing, right? All 100 different things could go wrong on any given day, and oftentimes things do go wrong. But it's about the people involved and how they manage those unexpected difficulties that come up that make all the difference. So it's that same thing with technology. When you have the right people involved, that's where you can overcome those challenges and still succeed.
Yeah, so it's funny that we hear horror stories where people spend 18, 24 months trying to get software to launch, only for it just not to be adopted, right? And finding that someone that says it's easy is probably not true, right? If you're buying that ticket, you're on the wrong ride, because that's not what's probably going to be happening. Like you said, there's always going to be challenges, and it's how the people on the other side handle those challenges, right, and get things right.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. So if you could give a distributor one piece of advice, what would it be? Right. What's the magic that you could share?
Yeah, I would just say take your time in terms of vetting your software vendor or the software you're going to use, and ask a lot of questions, and really, because we've made that mistake several times. We're just kind of didn't ask enough questions, kind of took everything they said at face value, didn't vet them enough. I mean, it took us several times to find really the right partner. So I would just say don't take the decision too lightly, really. I mean, again, right? Because software is not, it's usually not cheap or quick to implement. So, I mean, you want to take your time in terms of the process to make sure you're really dealing with the right people, the right solution. And I would just say ask a lot of questions, and really do your due diligence to make sure, you vet that as much as you can, as best as you can on the front end.
So could you give, and I know it's maybe a tough kind of depending on what technology you're evaluating, what platform you're evaluating, but could you maybe give some ideas of what questions we should be asking?
Yeah, so really, really think about the scenarios that you're going to be dealing with within your business. And I mean, again, I could draw the same kind of analogy to logistics, but we find oftentimes the best customers that we have are the ones that ask the most questions. And there's like, what about this? What happens if this happens? Well, if we do this, then what? And can we do this? Can you do that? How about this? And just really take your time to walk through the scenarios and understand, and particularly if you're switching from another solution, just to really understand and compare and contrast how things differ, and to make sure you really try to anticipate all the scenarios on the front end, and probably ask numerous times what could go wrong and what happens if this goes wrong, and understand. And like you said, right, like there's always challenges. So just plan for the challenges and understand how that software and those people involved are going to deal with those challenges, and just can't ask enough questions.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting because we've seen so many distributors just rush towards decisions. And we've seen so many distributors just jump into something without fully understanding the ins and outs of it. And again, maybe this is a tough question to answer, but how long, when you think about when you've made purchasing decisions, how long have you really spent in that discovery stage and learning, like, asking those questions? What's a good amount of time till you really feel like, okay, I understand these different components of the technology?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Every time we've switched, it's been a pretty urgent need. So we've been pretty quick. So I mean, I would say within a month, right? But that's like a very focused, right? A lot of time within that month, a lot of different meetings with people involved, and then getting questions answered back and forth with the potential vendors. I mean, again, it's going to vary depending on the size of the solution and all the moving parts involved. But it's definitely gonna it's definitely gonna, I would say, require numerous calls and meetings with your internal people. So but that's been our experience.
Okay. All right, Bill, anything you want to add there?
So, Dave, I just want to give you one more chance to kind of plug, let people know where they can find you, your business, and also the podcast. Again, explain the podcast and why people should watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So the podcast, I started just because early on in my founder career, I found the most value I got was from conversations with other entrepreneurs. And I just had the idea, is like, what if I made these conversations public on a podcast forum? The audience could benefit, the guests would get exposure, it would help me as well. So that's how I started, and we've crossed 250 episodes, and ranked in the top 1.5% globally by listen notes. And, it's just done wonders for the business and for networking. And it's been a ton of fun. So yeah, Beyond Fulfillment, you can find that everywhere that podcasts are heard. And then as far as the 3PL, so EZDC, we take the headache out of logistics for Shopify sellers, I guess, to say it in a nutshell. So if you're selling on Shopify and the logistics is, just taking up too much of your time, and you think there's got to be a better way, we're definitely a potentially viable solution depending on your business and what you're looking for. So you can find us at EZDC3PL.com. And then I'm always on LinkedIn, Dave Gulas, Gulas.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dave, for your time today. And thank you for anybody jumping on, listening. We appreciate you being a part of this Tech Talks episode. And we will see you next time. Remember, episodes are coming out every first and third Thursday of the month. We also have a newsletter on LinkedIn. We'd love for you to be a part of that by the same name, Tech Talks Evolving Distribution. And yeah, we would love for you to be a part of the community. Dave, thank you again. We appreciate your time today.
All right. Thanks, Corey. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Tech Talks Evolving Distribution. Thanks for tuning in.
And we hope you've gained some valuable insights on how to embrace digital transformation and stay ahead in the distribution industry.
A special thanks to our sponsor, Aldrich Web Solutions, for supporting this podcast. With over 20 years of experience, they've been helping distributors win online and maximize their digital presence. Be sure to check them out if you're ready to take your business to the next level.
And if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. And of course, share this with anyone who could benefit from this conversation.
We'll be back next time with more expert insights. And until then, keep evolving and embracing change.